Hello everyone and welcome to the Hockey Hub. So today we're going to be taking an in-depth look at the offseason of the Winnipeg Jets. Now this is the last Canadian team I'm doing for this playlist, and obviously I'm doing this the same way I did the other Canadian teams. We're going to start with the draft, we're going to move on to any trades they've made, and their signings, the players they've lost, and all that stuff. So to start off with the draft, Winnipeg had a great draft, highlighted by getting Cole Perfetti at 10th overall. Now that, to me, is the absolute steal of the draft. Cole Perfetti was a top 5 player in the draft for me. I know some people aren't a big fan of him because of his skating and stuff like that, but as we've seen with players like Mark Stone, skating can be worked on. So getting Cole Perfetti at 10th is an absolute steal. He projects as that second-line center of the future. I don't see him being better than Scheifele because Scheifele's fantastic. He's one of the best in the league. But Perfetti definitely has that high-end talent. He could be a first-line centerman, and he's definitely going to be a top 6-1 in Winnipeg, and that's exactly what Winnipeg needs. So I know Jets fans are very happy with that pick, and so they should be. That's a great draft pick, good for Winnipeg. Now, moving on to any trades they've made. Now, they did make one big trade with the Vegas Golden Knights. They traded away Carl Dahlstrom and a 6th-round pick to get back Paul Stastny. Now, I really like this move for the Winnipeg Jets. Stastny fit in very well in his brief stint in Winnipeg, and he should fit in very well again. Stastny is still a good player. He's not the player he once was, but he's still an effective third or second-line centerman. So he does fit in as a second-line centerman in Winnipeg, because obviously they need that second-line centerman to play with Laine. I do think that Stastny is a good stopgap for one more year until maybe Perfetti is ready. And they didn't have to give up much to get him. Obviously, this move was a cap dump for Vegas because they needed to free up money to sign Alex Pietrangelo. So getting Stastny back for Winnipeg, I really like it. Stastny enjoyed his time in Winnipeg, and it should be a good fit again, and Jets fans should be excited. So I really like that trade for Winnipeg, and aside from that, they didn't really make any notable trades. But they did re-sign some of their key guys that were heading into UFA, like Dylan DeMello. So they re-signed Dylan DeMello to a 4-year, $3 million contract extension. I like this deal. Dylan DeMello is a solid defensive defenseman. On a good defensive core, he's probably ideally a bottom pair guy, but considering how weak Winnipeg is on the blue line, he might even play top pair with Morrissey, or second pair, depending on where they put Pionk, I suppose. I do like keeping DeMello, though. He is a good defenseman, and as Paul Maurice stated, he's a coach's dream. So that's good for Winnipeg. They also re-signed defenseman Nathan Beaulieu to a 2-year, $1.25 million contract extension. This is a solid deal for Winnipeg. Beaulieu is a decent 5 or 6 defenseman, and on a team that desperately needs good or decent defenders, Beaulieu is definitely going to play a top 6, maybe even a top role for them, and maybe he can come into his own a bit better in Winnipeg. He's been okay there, but obviously not necessarily living up to that first-round draft pick that Montreal almost wasted on him. They also re-signed their backup goaltender, Laurent Brossoit, to a 1-year, $1.5 million extension. I think it's a bit of an overpayment. Brossoit wasn't very good at all last year. That's why Hellebuck basically had to play every game for the Winnipeg Jets. So I think Winnipeg really should have looked to upgrade their backup goaltending position, but I understand Hellebuck still is in the absolute prime of his career, and he is a beast, and he can play 65 or maybe even close to 70 games in a full schedule. So this is also maybe they don't want to get a goalie and then lose him to Seattle, so maybe they're just keeping Brossoit for this year, and then the season after they're going to get a true backup for Hellebuck, so it can give Hellebuck more rest as he gets older. But for now, their goaltending duo is still one of the best in the league, simply because Hellebuck is that good. Hellebuck is a top 3 goalie in the league. He just won the Vezina Trophy, and in my opinion is the MVP of the Winnipeg Jets. Hellebuck is fantastic. However far he goes is however far Winnipeg will go. So, yeah, those are the guys they re-signed. And as far as the players they've lost, now they lost Dmitry Kulikov to free agency. That's not really a big loss for them. Kulikov is a bottom pair defender at best. Not exactly a great defenseman at this point in his career. They lost Cody Eakin to free agency as well. He signed with the Buffalo Sabres. I don't think that's a big loss either. Eakin didn't exactly fit in well in Winnipeg, and they did get Stastny to replace that role. They also lost Carl Dahlstrom, obviously, in the trade to Vegas. But aside from that, they didn't lose any key players. They still need to re-sign Jack Roslovic, and there's a potential that he might be traded, but only time will tell. As of right now, those are the only key guys they lost. But there is another player they are likely losing in Brian Little. I don't think Little plays again in the NHL, to be honest. His injury is scary, and, medical professionals have told him it's probably not in his best interest to play in the NHL again. And that's unfortunate because Little is a good player, but if you're a Jets fan, that does free up cap space, so it's not all bad. Obviously, it's never good when a player goes down with injury, but if they can put him on the long-term injured reserve, like they are definitely going to, that is going to free up Winnipeg a significant amount of cap space to maybe upgrade that blue line. Which is the problem I really have with Winnipeg still. They didn't do much to upgrade that blue line. We're going to look at some of the other players they've added, but it doesn't really improve their blue line that much, in my opinion. So as far as the players they've added, they did add Paul Stastny, which we talked about. Fantastic ad for them. They did sign Derek Forbort to a 1-year, $1 million deal. Forbort is another 5'6" defenseman. I don't really think that moves the needle for Winnipeg. It does help their defensive depth, but I don't think depth is necessarily the issue. They have quite a few of 6, 7 defensemen. They've got defensive depth. They lack true top 4 guys, and Derek Forbort is not a true top 4 guy. He's a bottom pairing guy at best. They also signed Nate Thompson, which I think is a good signing for them. He should be a good 4th-line center. So I like that move for Winnipeg. That's, solidifying their center depth, which was a big question last year. So now you've got Stastny, you've got Scheifele, obviously he's the number 1 center. You've got Adam Lowry or Andrew Kopp, and then you've got Nate Thompson. So their center depth is looking a lot better, and is now, I would say they've got pretty good center depth, very good actually. So that shouldn't be an issue for Winnipeg anymore. But the defense side is still an issue. Morrissey's a beast. He's fantastic. Pionk is quite good as well. I do like DeMello. But aside from that, there's no other guys that I view as really good defensemen there. I really think that they should spend some of their cap space that they will free up by putting Little on the injured reserve to get a defenseman like Travis Hamonic or Sami Vatanen. I think Vatanen would be a very good fit in Winnipeg, like I said in my free agent video. So that would be nice to see, but I don't know. It feels like Kevin Cheveldayoff is kind of complacent with the defense right now, and I don't understand it. It's not a good blue line. In fact, it's probably one of the worst in the league. The only reason why Winnipeg was even close to a playoff spot last year was because of Connor Hellebuck. He was just that good, playing on that poor of a defense. Imagine how much better he could even play with a proper defense, or at least a good one or a decent one. But overall, I do like the moves that Winnipeg made this offseason, but once again, it's kind of left me wanting more. I like what they did with their forward core. They didn't necessarily address the backup situation, but I don't think that's too much of a problem when you have Connor Hellebuck. But they didn't address the defense, and that was the big glaring need that Winnipeg needed to address, and they didn't, and I don't know where they're going to land in a Canadian division due to that, or even in the Central Division. Winnipeg is going to be a very interesting team. Their forward core is fantastic. Their top 6 is one of the best in the league for sure. Their goaltending is fantastic. They are a contending team, aside from that defense. The defense holds them back from being a true Stanley Cup contender for me. If they even added if they did sign Sami Vatanen, I would say Winnipeg would be a Stanley Cup contender. Their roster is that good, aside from they just seriously lack another top 4 defender. And I do think that would make a lot of difference for Winnipeg. They've got good top guys in Morrissey and Pionk, but after that, it's scary, to be honest. So if they were able to get another blue liner, I think Winnipeg would be in a lot better shape, but they haven't already, and I can't grade them off what I think they should do. So I'm going to have to give Winnipeg a B. I do like the moves they've made, but not fixing that blue line is a serious issue to me, so Winnipeg ends up with a B. But that does it for today's video. I appreciate you guys watching to the end. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you guys later. Bye for now.